Welcome to Tuna Whistles. I'm your host, Joe Chap, Detroit Lions News. And look, a USA Today reporter reported that they could potentially move Julian Okwara. And I don't fall victim to the trade takes. I will never fall victim to the trade takes. Let me just put this on record. I was one of the first people on YouTube. I was one of the first people that was reporting that Alex DeBrincat was getting traded to the Detroit Red Wings. It was traded, was finalized. I've been right about a lot of stuff. I got connections to the teams. Um, what I hear with the Detroit Lions is, yeah, potentially Julian Okwara could be on the move. I doubt it. Maybe if they find a roster spot for him, but you got to remember that the depth at defensive end is deeper than it's ever been, and there's going to be an odd man out. So something to keep in mind. When I look at the Detroit Lions, I don't see the Detroit Lions making some bold trade early on. I just don't see it. I don't see them making that trade. I think there could be a moderate to mid trade, a mid trade oh, like he's going to make the roster, he's going to help out the depth at the wide receiver or depth at guard. Like that could happen. But the reality of the situation is I don't see any big plays in play until maybe in the trade deadline. If the Detroit Lions are a good football team, they could potentially make a move at the trade deadline. I think you're going to see more teams active at the trade deadline in the NFL because I think over the years the trade deadline for the NFL has become better and better in terms of the action that's happening. So I think you could see the Detroit Lions get involved in that. Do I think that they're going to get involved in some blockbuster deal before the season? Absolutely not. Maybe. You never know. Brad Holmes is a magician, but I don't see it right now. And I don't see it before, definitely before cuts happen. Because I was at, a lot of people were asking me, this was another thing people were asking me. They were like, why would you trade for someone if they're going to be cut? Well, you don't know if they're going to be cut. Because what happens when you get to the cut down day is usually trades will be flown in. Teams are starting to make their decisions and they're like, okay, we might have a stockpile of wide receivers, right? And we're going to call the Detroit Lions. We know that Julian Okwara is available. We can make a swap. We need a defensive end. They need a wide receiver, and then we're swapping players that really could they'll be claimed by anybody in the league. When this types of stuff happens, it happens all the time. The third game is usually like you're gonna start to see a little bit of more talks happen because now that the preseason is going and they're starting to figure out kind of their 53-man roster, um, they're making decisions. They're seeing the surplus of positional talent that they have compared to what they need. So, just like I said, in the case of the Detroit Lions, like let's say the Jets call, right? And they want Julian Okwara. They can give you Corey Davis. Swap. Boom. You're out there. Do I see that happening? No. I mean, there's always a chance. I don't really see a trade as of yet. I know that Brent Holmes will be looking, but I think he's going to look more at the free agents and cut down candidates. Really don't think he's going to be willing to trade. And if Julian Okwara is involved in a trade, I believe he wants draft pick compensation. So if he was to go to the trade deadline and the Detroit Lions are a good football team, they can make a deal and use the draft pick compensation that they got from whatever team they trade a player to, and they could use that in a deal. That's where I think the big play will be. I think it's a long game for Brad Holmes. I don't think it's a short game. I don't think he's going to you know, sell the farm out for just a guy to, be on the team, against the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't think that's going to happen, but I do think they will make a move. I just don't think it will be now. I think it'll be by the trade deadline. I'm interested to hear what you think. Who would you trade for the Detroit Lions? Would you do it now or the trade deadline when you know what your team is at that point? Let me know below and I will respond to the comments accordingly. Have a great day, and we will have more Detroit Lions videos coming up, so please subscribe to the channel.